Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Family Edition. I'm your host, Likuyani Eli. Allow me to welcome Coach Collins Bolo. Mr. Bolo is the founder of Family Health, Life Skills and Career Development. He is also an expert leadership and relationship coach, specialist in psychometric, professional speaker, clergyman, and certified grief and loss therapist. He is equally a mediator, MTI. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Collins Bolo.
Welcome everyone to our episode of Saturday edition, Family Edition. I'm quite happy and very much excited that in one way or the other from where you are, I'm quite sure that you can hear us, and also you're willing that you may add knowledge to yourself as far as issues of life are concerned. Thank you very much. If you can hear me from any part of this world, kindly I'd like you to post your comments, even as we continue to add information and knowledge to ourselves about life and issues of family. Now, one of the biggest challenging aspects we have in life is the fact that man wants to discover who or she is. Fortunately or unfortunately, as we go through different ladders of learning and education, the big question of who we are is not addressed most of the time. Now, that one means that we get into studies, we get to learn a lot about our environment, the technology around us. We learn more about how we can manage things, how we can manage people, how we can build our businesses, how we can make the world around us to change. But the big question and the big challenge is this: most of the time we don't get opportunity to understand who we are. And many times when I ask people this question about who are you, it becomes simple but very complex. Now, one of the things which happens whenever I ask people who they are, they tell me that I am an engineer, I am a doctor, I am a nurse, I am a teacher, I am a soldier, I am a father, I am a mother. Now you realize that all those descriptions, in one way or the other, they're attached to one or the other achievement as far as career is concerned, or status as far as our marital condition are, or as a parent. But why is it that when that simple question is asked, we get a problem to define who we are, yet we want to become men and of success? Sometimes I tend to think and believe that it is very intentional that while we advance in our systems of academics, we don't totally get to the point of understanding who we are so that we can be able to describe ourselves well. And now with that kind of a challenge coming in, then we get to the second challenge, which is, if we cannot describe who we are, yet we want to become the best fathers we can be, the best husbands we can be, the best mothers we can be, the best wives we can be, how can we competently be what we can be if we cannot describe ourselves well? And even it becomes more challenging when it comes to the issue of the gender factor, specifically the man-male. Do men understand really who they are? And if they do, who is a man? The basics, fundamental issues about a man which we ought to understand and every man ought to understand so that his performance can get to the maximum with the best results which can ever be. Now, you realize that there are different parameters which you can use to get this prescription to the best. Today, I like to be slightly a bit biased and use one of the parameters which, as I do different analysis from a psychological point of view, social point of view, and other ways, I have found that this point of view helps very much in coming up with a good way and system which can help us very much. And that's why today I'm happy and excited to use that worldview to help us today to understand ourselves very well. Already I can see we have people, we have Lady Joyce, right, who has tuned in. We have some soccer fan banter who is tuned in at this particular point. We have Sir Eli himself from work. He has tuned in and is saying that I am my father's son. That's how he describes himself. What about? But what makes you think you are a son? What makes you think you are male? Do you know that there are people who are biologically male and they feel feminine from inside? And there are women who biologically they're feminine and they feel masculine from inside. So how will we describe them? These are some of the dynamics in life which are happening, and getting to the point of describing and understanding ourselves well becomes very key and very important. Now, who is man? What are some of the basic fundamental issues male people, especially man, ought to understand so that as he takes his role for the community, for his family, and for himself, it can become easy and very effective. Now, I'm saying this because during the caveman age days, a man was described as someone who goes out to go and look for food and bring to his children. And because of that, he was given all the honor and respect from his family. Not only that, because a man was a hunter and his role was to gather all that he needed and bring food back home, men were praised because of that. And women had very, very, very simple tasks to do for them to be respected and to be given the honor as women, which included other aspects and issues to give birth to children. If not that, can it be possible that she's a good cook? A woman could give birth to children and she's a good cook. Then she was given all the praise at that particular point. So the men went out to gather, bring food, and help their children to have children, and help their wives to deliver children. That was very key. And that was basic fundamental description of a man during the caveman age and period. Do you know that today women can provide just as men can provide? And does it make them to be male or to be man? Do you know that today women can have more hours to work even than most of the men, leading to more income more than men? A man in the past could feel he's a man and proud of himself because when he gets to the community at that particular point in time, and then in one way or the other, at this particular point in time, he has provided, as I've said before, is seen available in the house after hunting, then he was given all the honor. Most of these things our women can do today. And this confuses even our men to know exactly who am I and what is my role. What is this thing which I need to understand, which can make me as a man to take charge and lead my family in the right way? Because what was used in the past as a gauge today cannot stand the water. Now, the good book gives us some fundamental things which during the time of creation they were laid, and if we get to understand it and we pick for that point, it is going to help us as men to understand ourselves well, to understand our role well, and to know how we can come in and take charge for the success of our community and our family. Now, today our reference point will be the Garden of Eden. And that's to pick from that point, from the Garden of Eden. What happens at that particular point? What are some of the things which at this particular point happened which can help us. Now, in the Garden of Eden, at this particular point in time, we are seeing two guys. One is male called Adam, another one is female called Eve. But before the female comes to existence, who is the man with a woman, there are some tasks which the man male is given, which can pull towards building from that point on different requirements and key things which the man male needs so that he can be competent in his leadership in the home. Now, one of the things which the man male is given in the Garden of Eden is the presence of his creator. The presence of his creator. Now, this is very key and very important because we are going to see how it is so much connected to our family and when the man has his wife. So this is a guy who is established in one of the most wealthy environments. All the animals belong to him. The whole earth belonged to him. Every living creature knew that they are subject to his authority and command. And is put in the garden. Now in the garden, at this particular point, one thing we need to understand is that the man is given, is put into the garden so that he can have his presence. He's given God's presence as the first gift for life which he had. So when the man female comes to existence, he finds the man male in the presence of his creator, his maker. Now, this is very key because when the man male will have to succeed in bringing up his family, what is given first as his gift will play a very key role on how he's going to reflect himself to his family. So man male needed his creator. He needed the presence of his creator, that he can learn from him, he can grow through him, and he can reflect back to his family the virtues of his creator. Against his creator is cast out from his presence, and that's when the misery of life starts taking place. Things started becoming so difficult for him, and managing his family became extremely a very heavy task. Why? Because he was disconnected from his creator. So the virtues of life, which was to pick from him, boom, it's affected. Now, how does it affect the man male in his role and responsibility in marriage today? Do you know that the more the man is disconnected from his creator and he cannot enjoy the presence of his creator, in the same way, the man male becomes very hard for him to offer his presence to his wife. Now, this is how it goes. The male needs the presence of his creator. The man is the creator of his man. One of the greatest needs of the woman of today is the presence of his man. As I do therapy most of the time as a relationship coach, I find a very big divide. People who are poor, most of the time they think what I need is a man who has a car, a man who has a big house, a man who will give me all the necessary internal facilities like sufurias, a nice gas, everything. I have a phone which have been given by my husband. Most of the time, poverty makes people think, or women think, what they need from their men is material things. But when you go on the other side, where we have families which are rich or middle class, and they have some of these facilities, then I meet women who feel they're as good as widowed because their men have given them everything that they need. They have a car, they have a nice house, they can afford electricity, they can afford internet, Wi-Fi, they can afford nice dressing, but they're missing the presence of their men. Now, the moment they miss the presence of their men, but they have everything, they start feeling lonely and alone at this particular point in time. Why? Because they're missing the presence of their man, the husband. And most of the time, when this man walks out to go and look for money and resources, and when a man leaves to look for money and resources, he does it on behalf of his family. That's what's in the mind of the man male. But when he extends most of his time, more hours out like hunter, to gather more resources, and the wife back at home, she's just there alone without the presence of his man, or she goes to work, but when she gets back at home, the man is still missing in action because he's looking for resources. What are some of the common challenges we see happening in our society? When by the time the man gets back home, the wife is so annoyed, so angry, and the mouth is swollen because of anger. It's when you say, I'm a fool, I'm a shavu. Then it offends this man. I work so hard because of this woman. I spend a lot of hours because of her. When I get home with my resources, she's angry with me and she's not willing to cooperate and get closer to me. What's wrong with women? What do women exactly need? It's really hard to understand a woman. When you are in the house, she wants you to go and join other men out there. When you're out there, other men look for resources, she's again complaining that you're not available for her. What does a woman really want? And this confuses men. One of the greatest needs of a woman is the presence of his man, the husband. The husband. But men will only understand their value and their presence to their wives if they understand their need for the presence of their maker. So the man needs the presence of his maker, and the woman needs the presence of his man. The man needs to tap virtue from his maker, and the woman will tap virtues from his man. No wonder one great scholar said, every woman is looking for a father, not a job. A lover is good in having sex and the game of playing sex. But when sex is done, what remains? Your presence is very key. As we're trying to search the issue of who is man, there's some fundamental aspect of life which you need to understand. That the woman of today does not necessarily need the materials which girls think is what they need. For girls, it's okay. Girls think what I need is a good car, a good house. That's a mindset for girls. But women who are mature, they know there's much more to that. Men who are mature, they know there's much more than having sex with my wife. There's much more than paying school fee for my children. There's much more than giving goodies to my wife. When the goodies are available for my wife. This is very key, and this is extremely important. Why? Men who take more time to learn from their maker, they'll create more time for their wife and the children. Why? Because he understands life is all about transmitting values and virtues from one generation to another generation. No wonder in the days of the old in our African context, grandparents and parents made sure they created time of availability for their children, that they may put in virtues and values which will make them to last for a longer time within their relationship. And one thing that's happening is this: whether Christian, Muslim, or an atheist, or of any other religion, still one thing stands very, very important. Presence is very key. Presence is extremely, very, very important as far as how we are going to manage our family and grow it. That's just one aspect of life. More we are going to learn in our next episode. Apart from presence or availability, presence to God, and availability for the wife and the family. What are other issues which a man ought to understand so that he can become competent in running his life and becoming the best leader he can be in his or her own family? Thanks, Noreen. I can see Noreen is right together with us today. I really appreciate. Sir Eli once more saying something interesting here. Well, man, or make it debatable. However, today's woman has been sold a narrative that a man must be equal to their income. Yeah. Actually, this narrative that a man has to be as equal as his income. But the funny thing is, even today, some of the top richest guys we have on our world of today, they still divorce and separate, even in the presence of money. It's only a person with a poor mentality who will think it's all about income. When we don't have it, we think it's all about income. When we have it, we realize it's about availability for ourselves. We need to differentiate our poverty and lacking mentality from reality of the principles and the laws of life, specifically laws of relationship. Very key and very important. When we miss it, then we won't enjoy even what other people enjoy to their ultimate maximum benefit. This is Coach Collins, Bolo, all the way from Mombasa with Saturday Family Edition. Yeah, I can hear Kita saying something interesting here. At Ellie, I think you are wrong. Women want your presence, not your income. Thank you. That's true. Somebody supporting the idea. What women need is presence, and always between the need from the want. If you cannot separate the difference between a need and a want, then you'll find yourself into big confusion. And this confusion, which will be coming in, will make you to fight for wants without understanding needs. I'll finish by giving an illustration of an event which I was invited to speak. And this event, I actually been invited to speak to most of the women who had been divorced and separated, and few widows. I had like 4 hours therapy together with them and dialogue one-on-one. By the moment the dialogue and the therapy was over, some were talking about how to be abused by their husbands, butchered by their husbands. Some were verbally abused by their husbands, some were physically abused by their husbands. And the abuse was so much, and they got to the point of divorce. Some separated. To such a painful experience which they had in their lives. When the session was over, I asked them of one question. And the question was, if today we had a young lady in this meeting, and he or she is thinking about getting to marriage, what advice would you give to this particular individual as far as marriage is concerned? Then one woman was in that meeting and had been butchered several times by his husband and beaten several times. This is what she said. For all ladies who are intending to get to marriage, I would advise them and tell them this. It's better to live with an abusive man than to live without a husband. And the other women were clapping, and it confused me. Another one rose up and said, it is better to have a husband who is an alcoholic than to live without a husband. And it got me confused again, because this is what made them to quit from their marriage. Ask them, kindly help me. Why are you saying all these things? And this is what they told me. In the days of abuse and in our former days of struggle with our husbands, the kind of knowledge we have today, if we had it, we could still be living with our men. We discovered that our men were not necessarily mentally ill, but understood the principles of relationship. We never understood how some things we were doing became trigger factors, which could have reduced the impact of war and battle between us. Now that we understand it, we think we could have helped ourselves even much more in the past. Meaning that some of the common problems people have in marriage can be solved when the right knowledge exists in marriage. And that's why Family Edition exists, so that we can learn from it. And out of it, we won't find ourselves in a situation and scenario which many people are in today because they didn't have the right knowledge. Next Saturday, don't miss it. I'll be giving the second tip, which will help your man and his need and his role in marriage and family. Thank you very much. God bless us all. Let's connect again next Saturday, right here on Family Edition.